I'm Peter Digby. I've been more associated with the club. I should say associated with the club probably 65 years. When Father joined me up when I was very young. I'd come down after school. We'd sometimes be either slipping Francis or working on Francis. Francis was the third 50-footer that he built in his lifetime. The first one was launched over at Hobson's Bay in about 1911. Ernie built the hull away from the club, took the hull down there with no lead on it. He actually poured the lead in the yard at Hobson's Bay, and he made a mould in the ground. He borrowed the full-length covered suit with the glass front and whatnot. Anyway, he got a big audience of people looking around, waiting to see this pouring of the lead for this. Well, nearly 8 metre. It'd be probably at least 40 feet. And but then as soon as he started to pour the lead, there was smoke and steam and thing everywhere. Ernie disappeared into all the smoke thing, and all the people scattered. Cadets came along in my early teens, and the international cadet I'm talking about. And actually the first ones, the initial ideas was we tried to build perhaps 2 or 3 of them here. The shed was over there, and we started to actually build a which Arch Cawthorne, hence the name of that small start boat there is named after him, Arch Cawthorne. And we actually got a good fleet going, and I did fairly well. I won a lot of placings and firsts. In the late 50s, Dad bought a Tumlaran called Snow Goose. So I joined that crew, and that boat was very successful. Dad won the Tumlaran Championship 3 times over at Royal Melbourne. There's actually a scale beautiful model, a wooden model of a Tumlaran over there, fully rigged, which is a great looking thing. Because we used to have 10, 12 boats racing regularly in the summer, every Saturday, and the opposition would be only about a boat length away sometimes, and you couldn't see the whites of their eyes, but pretty close. And you realise after a while, one slip, whether it be spinnaker, setting, or one a foul up when you were going about or something like that, would cost you the place against that boat, particularly if they didn't make any mistakes. So. Because as Dad used to say, you win the race by gaining a foot every 100 yards. You can win the race. You just got to go that bit faster, and not make too many mistakes. And because the more mistakes you made, the harder it is to catch up. Once you're behind, it's hard to catch up. And Dad also, when we went out for a sail, he'd like to be going fast. He'd like to have all the sails up to suit the wind. And whereas I'm very, I think people say now I'm very laid back. I'm more laid back, and I enjoyed being laid back. All the wooden boats used to come out of the water at the end of May, and start and be worked on and go back in the water in September. So that yard, and the bulk of the boats were wooden boats, was chock-a-block. You could hardly move in there. And John Sodel and the yardman then used to put actually rails in between the other rails as he slipped more boats in. Some of the boats were blocked off because there wasn't enough cradles. So he's an amazing man, and he could actually paint a boat and it looked like it'd been as good as they can spray paint them now. He'd actually do all that by brush. And we used to slip the Tumlaran during the summer when we were racing about every 6 or 8 weeks. And I'd be the power, no motor, so we had a mooring just off the end of row E there. And Dad'd be on board, cast the mooring off, and I'd be rowing and towing a Tumlaran to the cradle. The slip wave was just over here. And this boat came along, and we do the same thing every 6 or 8 weeks during the summer. It'd be slipped in the boat, the bottom would be not polished or anything like that, but just clean. So with the Clansman, I needed three good crew plus a skipper, and perhaps even a fourth. But we'd go out there and at 11 o'clock in the morning, do a sort of course around the buoys between here and Port Melbourne, and have the spinnaker up, spinnaker down, and get familiar with everything so everyone knew what happened and how it happened. And then we'd come back and have lunch, and then go out and a lot of times take the double out there, which is, you know, first place and line honours as well. So it was, I felt it was, you know, we did well for considering this is supposed to be a cruising boat. As Dad said, we used to have to push the sink through the water. In the early 80s, we looking again at the Geelong race, and it was almost like this to start with. We were tossing it up whether to go or not. We finished up going, but off when we got down off Werribee, and I saw this cloud. I was on the helm actually at that stage, and I could see this cloud coming off the shore, and I said to myself, "What's that? What's that?" So I said to the guys, "It doesn't look good. Let's get the sails down, quick, smart." Which you just got the last lot of sails down. It started to rain. The rain, I didn't believe it, started to go horizontal, and we actually, according to the Geelong, made headlines in the Geelong papers. That blew 80 mile an hour came across from between Geelong and Werribee. So it came, this wind came. Turned the radio on, and there was just messages going everywhere. And some boats lost their masts. Some of them went up on the shore at Port Arlington. So this is all a very good experience for me. They all say to me now, "Why don't I go out when it's looking doubtful and things?" Well, I say, "Well, you know, I've been there and done that. You know, 60 mile an hour and 180 mile an hour is sort of enough." And we decided to turn around. We had no sails up, and this boat was doing 5.5 knots, no sails. I still can't believe it, but yeah, I more or less was forced out of the racing because I've raced for all those years, and come the early 1990s, the crew started to get married or whatever and have family issues, and so I lost crew one by one, so to speak. And Max Glover, when I was probably an early boy, had Nerida. With Nerida's up in the yard or even in the water, in the winter, we get invited on board for lunch. Had a little pot belly stove over to the starboard side there, and Dad and I'd sit off to the port there, and we'd have lunch with Max on board Nerida. So Nerida's a beautiful boat, and back now the Hardys have brought it back again. The Hardys of wine family, yeah. So she's up in Sydney now. That's how life goes. Life goes on.